Mariam, this lady is really accomplished.
Right?
Not only in the arts, in different spaces, corporate world as well.
10 out of 10, all round creative, using that energy to just tap into different things, whether it's film, whether it's stage, whether it's
Yes.
music, whether it's even campaign, a little bit of, like an advertising vibe,
Yeah.
And she's made sure that she uses her talent to the max, which is
Yeah.
what I love. I love to see people maximize what they've been given. But we were talking off air about being able to see both sides of the creative space. Kuna the more corporate side, which is the decision makers, the people that decide how does this campaign look, how does this work, how does na. And then there's you who's trying to execute someone else's vision or execute your vision and make the absolute best of it, right? So Angela, as someone who's been a little bit on, both sides of that, what would you say is the biggest advantage you've had or the biggest learning you've had seeing it from the boardroom to the stage, I would say?
Well, I would say, I guess the vantage point, because you get to see things from 360. You don't only look at the fun side, which is the performance, the crowd, praising you for everything, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great motivation factor. But then, like you said, there are decisions that need to be made. There are things like copyright, which I feel like every artist, whether you're an actor, whether you're a singer, you should at the very least be aware of. You don't have to delve into it like you're a lawyer, but at least know about your intellectual property. Just the way Africans are very passionate about land. Land is a representation of wealth,
Yes.
legacy. It's the same way. It's intellectual. You're the only one who has been given the gift to produce whatever output you're putting out into the world. And so copyright is really an important thing to have knowledge of. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that take into producing creative work. So I guess I have the vantage point of seeing it from all angles.
What we love is that you're balancing two things. One, as a creative, you've been in different features, and of course you've so many people are sending their love. A friend of mine from California, who's also a mutual friend, has said that you're such an amazing person to work with. Paul Ogola. And of course, so much love from Alfred Munywa, who's also someone you worked with at County 49. How has it been just being in the film sector and in the acting side of things, keeping in mind that you're also national coordinator, that is the recording industry of Kenya, and now you put one hat down and wear the other? When do you know when to balance such things?
I'm sort of at a season of life where I'm making the time for what's important to me. What a blessing that came out of COVID, and I know a lot of people went through a lot during that time, but I did lose what was my corporate job. I was working for a VOD platform, and the hours were so demanding. Everything is an acronym.
Yeah, everything is an acronym.
I apologize.
Okay, let us know. Yeah.
Yes, so a video on demand platform. A local startup was trying to put up a video on demand platform, and I was there for about 4 years. Then, of course, when COVID came and there was all that uncertainty, they had to let me go. And about 2 weeks, well, not 2 weeks, while I was thinking about, okay, what do I do next? What do I have in my hand? I remembered that, I used to perform. I was a stage performer. I did a lot of stage production. So I made a couple of calls, let people know I'm available to perform. And within a span of about 2 weeks, I was on the set for Selena, which was a huge blessing. I don't take any role that I get for granted. So back to your question in how I balance the two, I just make the time. Unfortunately, because of the way things have changed, there's a liberty of working from home and a little bit more flexible hours that has come in after COVID. So I'm able to balance, like, okay, today I'm going to put all my focus into being the coordinator for the recording industry. And then from 5 until maybe 8 p.m., I'll go and rehearse for a play. And then I'll probably do an audition or send out an audition tape when I get home. So it's really just about what is important to you, because that's where you put your energy.
How do you prepare for your roles? Because that is one thing that people usually assume, when I'm Norma, because they've seen you before, and maybe because you've done a lot of plays. How do you prepare for like a role?
So I'm very much in my head. I'm an introvert, contrary to what that might look like, because you're a performing artist. But I'm
a
very
lot of
much.
people think that you can't be a creative who's on stage and not be an extrovert. And I'm like, a lot of your favorite performers are actually very introverted.
Yeah.
Because they need to think about, what am I doing? How am I going to step out of who I am as Angela and get into the role or so and so? And it requires a thought process and a very sometimes a lengthy one. So for me, when I'm about to get into a role, I really do marinate on the lines. I try and give her a backstory if one hasn't been provided. I like to meet with my fellow actors who I am going to be on stage with or in film with, and then we sort of thrash it out and say, okay, if it's me and let's say Brian Aseli, if we're brother and sister, did we used to fight when we were kids?
Of course, with me, definitely. I was a rascal growing up.
I don't know any brother sister duo that did not fight.
Yeah.
Any siblings actually.
Yeah.
You'll be
It's not-
surprised.
really?
Yeah.
You'll be
There's
surprised.
some who just love each other, just like
From
that.
day one.
Or there's some who are just
Zoe
distant.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's the other
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you kind of explore, because like you've all mentioned, we all have that experience of what does a brother-sister dynamic look like. And so you really thrash it out so that by the time you're on screen and the director is calling action, you've sort of already thought about everything and you're delivering with truth. I had a director who always told me, make sure you deliver what you're delivering with truth.
Yeah, we're going to